Good afternoon everybody, and welcome to this, your Sunday Sunset Safari. My name is James Hendry, that's a kudu, Brian's on camera, and this is Safari Live.
Ready. Standing by.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
Welcome again everybody. Still getting used to that sort of start to things. It is Sunday, of course, Sunday afternoon here in the northeast corner of the world's most beautiful country, South Africa, and one thing that wasn't introduced to you during that little beginning was the thumb. Brian, what is the thumb today?
A pirate fisherman.
A pirate fisherman thumb, which of course is very appropriate for the dry conditions that we're experiencing here in the low veld of northeastern South Africa. Behind me, some kudu. Let's have another look at them. You're on a live safari. Oh, no, there they are. You're on a live safari, like I said, and that means we'd love to talk to you during the course of the next 3 hours. Hashtag SafariLive, questions at wildearth.tv. We've got a great treat for you this afternoon, just firing himself up and seeing if he can get Rusty to work, the great Duke of Sydney, Hayden Turner, and he's going to be greeting you hopefully very shortly, and hopefully with some animals down at the Djuma Pan. We're going to head to the south, see if we can find Karula. She killed an impala this morning, went back to fetch the cubs, and that will happen sort of between drives. So with any luck, we'll find her, and we'll have a wonderful afternoon spent with the cats. Who knows? We may just stare at this kind of wintry landscape for most of the afternoon, but with any luck, we'll have some cats and some elephants and various other things. This morning, a very brief sighting of Karula, as far as I'm aware, with Brent. We were on foot and we had a lovely walk, and it was just a very sort of Sunday vibe about the place. It was quiet and it was just very pleasant, and it is pleasant now. About, I think, if I'm not mistaken, about 27 degrees Celsius, 80 degrees Fahrenheit, which is a very pleasant temperature indeed. There's a wind blowing out of the northwest, which is a typical August wind. And this is the kind of conditions that are going to prevail for most of the next month. There's some impala. Those are impala, aren't they, Brian?
They are indeed.
Those ones there. Quite common. And if you are a new viewer, please do talk to us. Tell us you're a new viewer. We shall greet you fondly. And tell us where you're from. It's always so nice to hear where people are from. Nice, what we call breeding herd or nursery herd of impala, and all those females now carrying their babies, heading into the difficult time, A, of the pregnancy, and B, of the dry season. And as those fetuses grow, obviously the nutritional demands on the mothers become that much higher, and so it is that they will have to find more and more to eat. 7 months gestation period, which ends about the same time, with any luck for them, as the rainy season begins here, end of November. And you can't believe, looking at that vegetation now, especially in the harshness of this light, which will soften as the afternoon goes on, you can't believe that they've got enough to eat there. 1 or 2 dry bits of combretum or bush willow leaves, I'm sure they're eating. There is a flush of green grass as a result of a little bit of rain we had 3 weeks ago. They're eating that too. And 1 or 2 other leaves, and they're one of the few species that is able to browse and graze. We had a lovely discussion this morning on foot about the difference between browsing and grazing. Grazing, of course, eating grass plants, browsing, eating the leaves off the trees and shrubs. And it requires a slightly different digestive process and a different suite of enzymes to do one or the other. Some very lucky ones, like these impala, are able to do both readily. Some, like the zebra, not so much. Just about all the grazers will do a little bit of browsing if they have to, but they don't derive the same nutrition from it as they do from the grass. The grass, of course, doesn't have the same level of sort of protective chemicals, if you like, defensive chemicals. And that's what you need to cope with if you happen to be a browsing antelope. Right, that's enough of that. Let's carry on. I'm not entirely sure where the leopard is, so it might take a little bit of effort to find her, but I think she's around here somewhere. Brent is going to be driving out of Vuyatela tonight, so he'll help me get in there eventually because he knows where she killed. So with any luck, we'll hear him in our ears fairly shortly. And the news is that Hayden has managed to get his car going. He's got his earpiece in his ear, his microphone in his hat, and he will shortly greet you. You'll just have to be a little bit patient. And if you're wondering, I'm sure you've seen that thing in front of us there. That is the solar pump. I'll show you now as we go past it. A completely silent solar pump that lives in this little hutch, and that's where our water comes from. You wonder often in a dry climate like this where we get water from. Well, it comes from a well under the ground, or what we call a borehole. It's pumped up by that solar pump. It's completely silent, and it's it's a vast improvement on the great diesel thumper that used to be out here when I first arrived. And making a big that noise, and at this time of the year you can hear it from miles away. No longer. Hello, Ravi. I don't think I've heard from you for a while. You're in New York. You say you've seen a few young impala around, and is that difficult or unusual for the mothers? Is that correct? I think that was your question. Just going to wait for Rebecca to confirm it. Yes, there we are. Ravi, there are no newborn impala at the moment. There are some yearlings, and there are probably one or two that were born in February or March, so they'll be slightly smaller than the others. They will have finished, almost certainly finished suckling completely, so it doesn't make any difference to the mothers at the moment. They're on their own. Yes, they'll have a difficult time finding sufficient to eat, simply because they are younger, obviously. But, yeah, I mean, I think they're pretty much in the same boat as the rest of the impala. It's quite interesting to think, you know, without the experience of a year, do they know what to eat when, and how do they learn that? Is it entirely instinctual, or do they follow the examples of their mothers? I don't know the answer to that, but I'd say as long as they were weaned, which all of the impala will be at this stage, as long as they're weaned, there's going to be no kind of difference between the survival or the difficulty with which they'll survive. Nice question, as always, Ravi. All right, everybody, the Duke of Sydney is now ready to receive you. Hop onto his vehicle, say hello to him fondly, and I shall hopefully see you later with the leopard.
Well, my dear friends, welcome to Safari Live, and it is so good to be back. My name is Hayden Turner. I'm sorry I've got my sunglasses on, I'm staring straight into it, but it's so great to be back here. And for those of you who I've never met before, my name's Hayden, as I just said. I've come across from Australia. I was here a few years ago and throughout last year with this incredible team on Safari Live, and I've been really, really lucky for them to have me back, if I behave myself. I'll get a little bit more to you about my story through the day or the afternoon, and if you've got any questions, of course, send us those questions, and we'd love to answer them as much as we possibly can. And you know, I haven't been here for 7 months, so I'm going to be relying on you. There's two really important things about Safari Live. it's the beautiful wildlife and the habitat, of course, but equally as important is you, the viewer. We would not be here without you. And I rely on you hugely, because if I've been away for 7 months, I can't remember what the Nkahuma Pride's doing. I know that they've got beautiful cubs. I might need you to help me with that. The leopards and all that sort of thing. So I really rely on you. This is a joint drive. You've just gotten on the biggest safari vehicle on the planet, and it makes me very, very proud to be here. And gosh, there's so much to talk about. I'll tell you all about what I've been up to in the last 7 months as well. But just to talk about our little friend here before he goes away, James was just talking about nutrition and sort of how how animals digest, and this is probably one of the least efficient compared to those impalas that he was talking about. And James was mentioning, I think, about impalas being ruminants. Well, ruminants are probably the most efficient group of ungulates or hoofed animals in the world, for that matter, and they have such a great success story with what they get out of their food. Now, elephants, on the other hand, have to eat and
That is very disconcerting that we've lost signal with Rusty. Rusty was our go-to girl. Anyway, we haven't found the leopard yet. You didn't give me much of a chance, but we will try, and I'm sure Hayden will be back up and running shortly. Now, the kill apparently was somewhere around here today. I think it's just the other side of Treehouse Dam, in a very nasty knobthorn thicket. I had a tracker once. He is the most wonderful fellow. And he was a Mozambican refugee, so he spoke almost no English, never set foot in a school in his life, taught himself to read and write. Remarkable guy. And with things like knobthorn, you know, if you learn to speak basic English, you're not going to learn what a knob is. You might learn what a thorn is, but it's unlikely. You know, you're going to learn the practical things of what helps you to live in everyday life. And so things like knobthorn, false marula, all of those sorts of things were just approximations, but you didn't worry about whether he could actually say them or not. So knobthorn thicket became a knobthorn stick. And whenever there was a leopard in a knobthorn stick, he and I would giggle quietly, because he knew that he wasn't saying it correctly, but it was just rather amusing the way he used to say it. It was knobthorn stick, and a false marula was a fox marul. Fox marul. Now, I think it's in this rather heinous amount of knobthorn over here, if I'm not mistaken. Because when Brent was following her, she kind of crossed along through here, I think, and then they lost her in some thick bush. I might be wrong. We'll just wait for them to get mobile. There is an impala up ahead. He looks very relaxed. He also looks quite surprised to see us. Looking behind him is his friends, who've absconded into the bushes. There's a squirrel there, Brian, just beautifully lit there. Sorry, it was off to the left. It's gone now. There we go. Left-hand side under the tree there. Just over there, you see the tree that's fallen to there. And Paul in the Netherlands, thank you for getting hold of us. You say you were recently in the Kruger. That's good news. You just saw a flash of squirrel there. And you say, are the impala and kudu staying in the same places, or are they moving around? Paul, the limiting factor for an impala is the fact that it is sedentary. It is unable to migrate, and so they have to stay in one place. And you'll find that their condition is pretty good. They'll cope with a drought as long as there's water for them to drink, which sounds incongruous, but obviously much of the water in this area is pumped, and so then they can go and drink pumped water. They absolutely survive, but they can't move. They're not nomadic, and so they must stay in one place. Kudu, probably slightly less so, but kudu, you see, are not water dependent. Kudu can live almost without water. and so they don't need to migrate to and from water or follow the grazing like the wildebeest do. They will normally just stay kind of in one area with their home range. They're not territorial, but their home range will increase as the dry season progresses, as the sort of grey or browse becomes less and less concentrated. Hello Abhishek, lovely to hear from you again. You say, do we have eland here? We don't have eland. We used to have eland, or the Sabi Sand used to have eland here. You'll probably find that one eland wanders across here every sort of 3 or 4 years. They are found in the Kruger. They are more a dry desert area species, but in an area where there are lots of impala and lots of pumped water, they cannot compete with the impala and the zebra, and so they tend to move away. There are potentially some here. There's a waterbuck sleeping there, which indicates to me the leopard is not close by. Do you see the waterbuck there? Very nice, Brian, well spotted. And you can see the waterbuck still chewing his Sunday lunch. What do you think he had, Brian?
A little bit of this and a little bit of that.
Roast chicken?
Probably.
Do you think so?
No.
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 Apple crumble?
Yes, definitely.
Definitely apple crumble.
That's what he's chewing on right now.
That's what he's having now. Of course, a waterbuck must re-chew his apple crumble. You'll see him now, vomiting into his own mouth. There we go.
Second dessert.
Very nice. Dessert times 2. Yum, yum. Wish I was a ruminant. There are 2 of them there, of course. A waterbuck doesn't have 4 ears. There are, in fact, 2 waterbuck there. And that a young male with his little horns. He's probably about 4 months old only. And interestingly, they tend to be, well, they're not a-seasonal breeders, but they are breeders that, well, they tend to, they will have a peak of birth during the rainy season. But, for example, you'll never find a 4-month-old, highly unlikely you'd find a 4-month-old impala now, or even a kudu. So they tend to give birth at just about any time of the year, with a peak during the rainy season. Very nice, Brian. What did you have for Sunday lunch, Brian? A chop. Very nice. Did you have apple crumble?
I didn't.
You didn't, no, nor did I. No, I didn't see any. Yeah. Well, I must have been. Sausages for breakfast. Delicious. Yeah. Rebecca just panicked, everybody. She thought she'd missed out on apple crumble. But I was just kidding. We didn't actually have apple crumble today. Would have liked to have had apple crumble. Now, I'm not seeing any evidence of a leopard here. I think it was in, if I'm not mistaken, it's in this rather heinous block here that she killed. And so I think that's probably where she is, and I'm expecting to find her tracks kind of coming across the road here fairly soon. With any luck. But we'll just do a loop around. Brent said during his closing, he said, well, isn't that nice, we've got guaranteed leopards for this morning. One doesn't want to guarantee anything like that, I feel, because then they will almost certainly do something that you don't expect them to. But I think in this case he's probably right. Hello, Mike. You're wondering about the Olympics and which teams we support and which sports are our favourite. Mike, well, the only team I can possibly support is Team South Africa, of course. Unfortunately, we don't have a very proud Olympic record. In fact, it's something fairly dire. This year, we do have a chance in the rugby, because rugby sevens has been reintroduced to the Olympics, so that's what I'll be watching with great interest. We do have one sprinter who seems to be able to run the 100 meters in slightly less than 12 seconds, which is pretty fast for us. We might have a chance of a few medals in the swimming. We're normally pretty good at that. But you know, we send a fairly small team, and in disciplines like gymnastics and many of the athletic disciplines, we don't generally have much representation. So we'll follow Team South Africa. And I mean, I enjoy the athletics quite a lot. Do you like anything specific in the Olympics, Brian?
I quite enjoy javelin, discus, shot put.
Do you? The field events, because of course, Brian, you were a spear thrower, weren't you?
Was.
Brian used to throw the spear for his school. I was.
All the field events.
Did you?
Yeah.
And you high jumping, of course,
A little bit.
being quite high yourself.
Yep.
Yes. I wasn't really built for those, everybody. I wasn't ever asked to put the shot, fling the javelin, or toss the discus. I could jump quite a long way though, Brian, you know, for somebody of my proportions.
How far?
Oh, thousands of meters. I've always thought, I just want to do something quickly here. I mean, I don't know where this leopard is, but on the subject of the Olympics, I just want to show you something. I'm not going to do anything athletic, but I want you to imagine that your career is this. Okay, this is what you do for a living. Your sole purpose in life is to do what I'm going to do now. You run along like this, and then you go like this. That's your job. Triple jump. It's the most random thing in the world, don't you think?
I quite enjoyed it.
Yes, but who came up with it? Imagine just saying to somebody, well, you know, what's your job? No, I'm a triple jumper. I hop twice and then jump. That's what I do for a living. I've always thought it the most incongruous thing. Anyway, that's just me. Hop, hop, skip, jump. Nice job. You know, the kind of long jump and the high jump and the sprint, I can get the point. I can get the point, but the triple jump, I can't get my head around it. Oh, here we go. We got some action here, everybody. Brent or Aubrey or Herbert, do you copy? I'm just going to try and get an idea from them. Because I don't see nothing at this stage. From the sounds of the radio this morning, this is where they were looking. Hooray! Let's go back across to Hayden. He has both signal and picture.
So, folks, let's try that again. We're just still with our young, very tolerant bull friend here, really beautiful boy. I'm just going to sit back here. Hey, my boy. That's okay. It's okay, my boy. It's okay, my boy. I'm just going to sit with him and just watch him for a little bit. We just had a little bit of a hiccup a second ago with our power supply, but luckily I'm with one of the most seasoned veterans of SafariLIVE camera operation, and that is VM, and he sorted it out. And VM and I have worked together for many years now, and I also call VM my eyes in the sky, because VM has got some of the most fantastic sightings with me I've ever experienced, and I wouldn't have been able to do it without him. So wonderful to be working with VM this morning, and everyone in FC and all the whole team. It's just great to be back. But whilst we're got this beautiful creature in front of us, I just want to go back to what James was saying before, how incredible these animals are and what they are consuming at the moment, because as you can see, the surrounds are very, very dry. We are not just in the middle of winter here in South Africa, but
Right, well, that wasn't a great start, but well, a second start, but at least there was some picture. Not sure what's going on there. Might take Wendy back to Hayden and give her to him, so that he can have a bit of a practice, and then we can maybe take a walk. But let's see first if we can't find this leopard. We still don't have any mobility from Brent or Aubrey. Brian, you will tell me if you see the leopard, won't you?
I shall.
Thank you.
I won't keep it a secret this time.
Thank you very much. I do appreciate it. One should be able to see the swathe of destruction. Okay, everyone, apparently we are going to do a swap. We're going to give Hayden this car, and I will take a little walkies. Alrighty, so I'm just going to drive slowly through here, just see if we can't pick it up, and then we'll go and hand Hayden the vehicle, and we'll go on a little walkies. That'll be Viam and I. Brian, I'm afraid our time together is coming to an end. Isn't that sad? Are you devastated? What do you mean a little bit?
Only a little bit.
That's very sad that you're only a little bit devastated. I saw that. I saw you doing that, Brian. Okay, let's take the car back to Hayden and he can come and resume the search. Possibly with the help of Leo Smith. Hold on, Brian. Just because you're a little bit sad, I might drive you through a bush or two on the way home. I'm just going to ask Rebecca to tell Hayden maybe to meet us on quarantine, perhaps. That will be a more attractive place to do the swap over, I think, than on in the workshop. Otherwise, we'll just see him in the workshop. Sorry about this, everybody. It is just part of what happens when you're out here. Glitches happen on a daily basis. It is just part of operating with very delicate equipment in pretty trying conditions, lots of bumps, lots of dust, varying temperatures, and that's just how it goes. Well, I just hope that we can sort it out during the course of the afternoon. Of course, we've got those wonderful, Hayden will tell you about them later, but we've got this wonderful initiative with about 80 Australian schools tomorrow morning. And it would be very sad not to be able to give them the full show. Anyway, so it goes. We'll just drive a little bit quickly so we can effect the swap fast. Some Impala up ahead. Oh, I just wanted to quickly show you this tree. Sorry, everyone. Oh, well, I'm not sorry, actually. I'm going to show it to you anyway. This tree, which I'm hoping is going to bear fruit, and Raisa and Jeffrey told us about the tree. It's a sausage tree. It's just getting its new leaves already, astoundingly. But it didn't produce any fruit or flowers last year, I think on account of the lack of rain. Anyway, so let's keep an eye on that. That's the sausage tree, Kigelia africana. Nice, Brian. Well done. Hello, Wild Earth Girly. You're wondering if we grow rhubarb here. I'm probably because we were talking about apple crumble, you were wondering this. I've met a few people who've grown rhubarb. My father used to eat rhubarb every so often when we were kids with custard. I've had it a few times in a crumble. I don't know anybody who grows it. Maybe Rebecca would like to grow it in her garden, which currently has one emaciated weed growing out of it. Rebecca, I think you should maybe make an attempt to grow some rhubarb. And she says she's going to do that, and then she'll make all the delicious pies. The delicious pies I believe that she can make. I'm yet to see any evidence of her green-fingeredness. She's very good at creating deserts, though. She's created a small Gobi desert just outside her door. It's very impressive. Anyway, there's the Mahindra in front of us. Not sure where that's going. It's now leaving a lot of dust in our way. Might be Brent going to take his game drive. Righty. Now, Hayden should be just around the corner here. He's going to be covered in dust from the Mahindra. Do you see Hayden anywhere, Brian?
I don't.
I don't see him either. I see him not. Perhaps he will emerge from behind the tree. Rebecca, where is Hayden? Well, we don't know where he is. We're going to have to go down to the workshop to find out. He might be that side. We should just look here quickly, just for in case. Do you see him, Brian?
No.
He might have become invisible.
Good afternoon, officer.
Go down and look here. There he is. I see him, everyone. Hello there.
Trying to get a lift.
A lift? Well, I think I'll just give you my car, if that's all right. There we are. Okay, everybody, we're going to go to a technical loop now for the next 5 minutes while we do the little swap over. We'll see you on the flip side of this.
Well, shall we try that again? I think it's probably a wise move to try that all over again, right from the beginning. Welcome to Safari Live. My name's Hayden Turner. I haven't been back here for 7 months, and it is absolutely brilliant to be here. James has been incredibly honourable in his giving up of the vehicle, but he's going to go on a bushwalk for us, which is also fantastic because he's great in the bush and show us a lot of the small things and the really intimate things that we miss when we're on game drive. I've swapped and I'm now with Mr. Brian Joubert, and that's always a good thing too. I need to reinstate my friendship with my good friends here that I've seen so many great sightings and encounters here with, and we were just sort of reminiscing before. Just excuse that that game drive channel there. Just let me carry on for a second. So Where we were was just down the bottom here with a couple of elephants, and I'll tell you a little bit about what I've been up to as we move along here. But for people that I've never met before, really nice to meet you, and for old viewers that and super fans that have been here of Safari Live, super fans that have seen this show for many, many more moons than I ever have, really big hello to all of you. And you know, equally, you are both here on the biggest safari vehicle on the planet, and what an incredible honour it is to be back working with this wonderful team. So I just want to also give a little shout out to my beautiful wife who's watching from Australia, and tell her that thank you for letting me go for a month, because I've been in Namibia before this, and then I'm going back to Namibia after this. But I just wanted to come across, and I also wanted to have a little chat to you quickly about why I initiated this this week. Now, we are really looking forward to broadcasting live to some Australian schools. Now, those Australian schools, we've worked really hard with the Taronga Education Department, the zoo that I'm currently working at, to craft this little week of stories from Africa for these kids, a lot of them in rural and remote areas. We've got about 80 schools on board at the moment, and it's growing daily. Tomorrow morning we broadcast live to Australian afternoon. Just let me keep my eyes out for these Ellies wherever they were. So just whilst I'm driving, I'll tell you the little story there. And we're going to do the first hour, 6 till 7. Well, 6 till 7 tomorrow morning of our morning drive, and Australia will pick that up. These school kids will pick this up at 2 to 3 p.m. Their afternoon, and they're really excited. We've got them on board. They're going to experience the magic of Safari Live, and I think that's a really important thing. You people that know me, that are with us today, you know how passionate I am about children's education, and you know how important I think it is, and we all do at Safari Live. So this is a great initiative, just like we've done in Virginia Beach and all the other places in the States, and also the Surrey Wildlife Trust that I did a couple of years back as well. So it's just great, it's just exciting. I'm really excited to be back, as if you can't gather that through my voice. So there was a beautiful young elephant bull here a minute ago, and we just try and find him. We've got a really great question, and I've just got a bit of goosebumps here at the moment, because if it is the same 11-year-old girl that I'm thinking, it's Sabrina. Sabrina, I need to just firstly tell you folks, I'm just trying to turn this game drive channel down, guys. I do apologise. The guys are just talking in the background there. Sabrina, I'm going to stop the vehicle up here with a beautiful elephant in the background, and he's a big bull as well. So we'll just gently get up here, and Sabrina, I'm coming to give my... oh, look how beautiful. He's got a floppy ear, this guy, as well. I've seen this guy before. Very interesting. Let's just gently go up here. It's okay, my boy. He's probably going to come up and have a drink, and oh, you can smell him too. He smells fantastic. Got a really little floppy ear, that guy. So we'll just stop here, and we'll just see if he's going to make his way up. He could have damaged that ear when he was younger, or even older for that matter, and some of the tissue that is very powerful around the base of that ear that allows them to flap the ear could have been damaged in something. It could have been a fight, it could have been anything, or you just don't know when it's happened to him. But he's a beautiful boy, that's for sure. Got some great tusks there. He's having a little sniff of the air. Arguably the most versatile herbivore in the world, I think, and you know, the Asiatic elephant, and also what we have here, of course, the African elephant. But absolutely incredible. They've got to reach about another probably 15 to 20 feet, about 6 meters higher than giraffe, and they can exploit all the vegetation that giraffe can't even reach. So incredible ability to exploit the vegetation and survive in these really tricky times that we're in right now. But he's a magical boy, isn't he? So I'm going to just position the car so you can have him in the background. I just want to get to Sabrina because this is very exciting for me, and I'm going to tell you the story why. So Brian, you tell me when is a good spot for you, mate. Is that good? Okay. And I'm going to trust you to watch my back here because I'm facing camera, so I'm getting Brian to be my eyes in the sky. Sabrina, how fantastic to have you on board, my friend. 11 years of age, and you want to know why some animals can survive with water and some have a bit more trouble. Well, the first thing I need to give everyone a little bit of a backstory about Sabrina. Sabrina, you touched my heart, matey, when you asked a question one day. You said, I think we were all driving around, I think it was potentially, Brian, last November, maybe Big Cat Week or something, or it might have been, yeah, I think it was. And you asked a question, you asked, can girls do this? My friend, I think the answer I gave you was absolutely, girls can do anything. That was the first thing I told you, and hopefully that pumped you up a little bit to follow your dreams, because you sound like you watch this a lot, matey, and I'm so glad to have you on board. You've really made my day. So some animals, to get to your question now, some animals have the ability to adapt their behaviour. Now, for example, James was talking earlier this morning about impala and saying that they predominantly grazes when grass is around, but they will also browse when it comes to it. But buffalo will do that as well. When there's very limited vegetation, if they're a grazing animal, predominantly, and there's times are really tough like it is now, some animals will change their behaviour and start to eat other things. They also have very clever behaviours. Elephants know, and they'll pass that information on to other elephants for where to find water. They'll dig for water. The matriarch normally knows that information, and she might lead the herd, breeding herd, to water and then pass that information on. So lots of different animals have different ways of doing it. Some antelope, particularly, and there's an antelope in Namibia that I've just been with the last 10-12 days called the oryx or the gemsbok, and they can become what we call water independent, and they don't actually need to drink. There are some parts of Africa as well where giraffe don't have any water at all, and sometimes they might not even drink but get all the moisture they need from vegetation. The big cats, on the other hand, a little bit different. They really do need to drink water, and they need water. They love water. They get really dehydrated if they don't get it, but some animals can really adapt to that. So great question, Sabrina, and I can't tell you, my friend, it's so great to have you on board. So girls rock. So we've got this bull here. And if I had smell-o-vision for you folks, I could give you a little bit of a better description just by turning the smell-o-vision up, but he smells fantastic. The elephants have got this really beautiful, sweet smell about them, and he's also using his incredible ability of his sense of smell as well. You can see he's just raising his trunk there and picking up whatever he possibly can. He's a big old boy. Got to be say he's in his 40s probably, by the look of his shoulder there, and you can see just that sort of indentation at the back of the skull, on the front of the skull, and just the length of his tusks, etc. But it's always guesstimations with elephants. You've got to be really around a lot of them and see them grow. But again, folks, as I always say, I come back as a guest here, and any information or little comments that you've got and you feel like tweeting in and letting us know that you want to add, I'll be more than happy to share with everyone. But he looks like he wants to come up here, so I'm just going to give him a little bit of space, maybe just to see what he does here. He might just be turning around. He's slightly in must. Now that's what I wanted to see. Can you see that little secretion coming out the side of his temporal gland there? That's a little secretion that occurs and is just telling us, well, it starts to ooze like that when he is sexually active. So the elephant's tolerance, I would say, probably gets a little less of us and other things. So we'll just give him a wide berth and really respect him. But you can see there's a great shadow there on his shoulder, and you can see that just does show a little bit of the age of the animal. So with that other ear flopped over like it was, couldn't see whether he was in must, but he is. So we'll just really give him a lot of space, and as we always do, and the animals definitely always come first. We've got a nice question from Kathy in Tennessee. Hi Kathy, and welcome aboard. Great to have you with us. And your question about when you were a child, you used to go to the zoo and you distinctly remember different scents of the animals and how strong it was. And is it the same in the wild? Well, I'd have to say some animals have a much more pungent odour than others. Elephant particularly, you probably smell them a little bit stronger in that close quarters in a zoological institution than you do out here, but it depends where you are, Kathy, as well. Like for example, you don't really smell impala or kudu really unless you're probably up really close, whereas at the moment we're smelling the sort of musk gland of the elephant, and also they have a tendency to urinate on their legs a little bit, and there's a bit of sort of odour coming from them more strongly than normal. But yeah, certain animals do have a certain smell about them, and it depends where we're positioned. But I can guarantee you right now, as Brian will confirm, we've got a pretty good waft up here of an elephant bull in must. And it is, you know, it's kind of weird. Some people might find it odd, but I really do think it's a fantastic smell. Look at him go. Look at him just motor up there. A lot of people don't think that elephants can climb that well. Wow, when you see them just go up that hill like that, four-wheel drive, and those massive shoulders pulling him up there. Oh, how beautiful. We've got a lovely question from Mia, and Mia's only 4 years old, or a big 4 years old, I should say. Mia, so great to have you on board, my friend, and how wonderful it is to be able to talk to you wherever you're watching right now. And your question's a really good one. I'm sure a lot of other people have been thinking of that as well. Mia, you want to know whether that elephant's ear might be sore. Well, you know what? I reckon it might be, but then again, it might not be as well. I think if it's been like that for some time, it probably just becomes like a little bit numb, or you know when you sit on your leg or something like that and you get pins and needles or something like that, it might be just feel a little bit like that for him. It looks like he doesn't look like he's in too much pain or anything, or he's not showing any abnormal behavior. Sometimes an animal like an elephant, who is incredibly intelligent, as you know, they've got that wonderful thing, that thing called that trunk down the front of his nose there, which is an elongated or a lengthened nose, and you can see he's using it for one of his very important things right now, to spray water and mud over himself. But they have a tendency to rub an area if it's really sore. If they've got a thorn or a wound or something like that, they'll rub it with their trunk. So I haven't seen him do that, Mia. So in a short answer, which you know HT, that's me, doesn't do very often, Mia, I don't think he's in too much pain, my friend, but really great that you're caring about him, and great to have you on board. Oh, got a great question from Jerry in Australia. Jerry, welcome aboard. It's about 5 to 12 at night, mate, and thanks so much for sticking around and watching. And you want to know what's my best elephant sighting? Well, I'm going to give you two really quick whilst we've got this beautiful beast in the background. There was an area way behind here one day where I pulled up with this elephant, and he wasn't in must, so we just sat there and watched. And Brian, I think it was you and me actually. Remember when he fed underneath the front of the vehicle? Yeah, and we watched this beautiful elephant walk up to us, and you know, you just get this sort of sense with them sometimes that you know, he's not showing aggressive behaviour or anything like that. And he came right up to the front of the vehicle and he started to feed underneath the vehicle. And he was a bull about the same size as this. So I have to say, you know, your heart rate rises, and Brian and I were, you know, both talking about that later, but it was a magical experience that Brian and I probably will never forget. I've got a great photograph of it. I'll try and put it up on Facebook or something tonight, but it was a really great encounter. And then there was another one when we were out doing a school drive for some schools in Surrey in the United Kingdom last year, and we were just about to close the show, and we were at Buffelshoek Dam, and this breeding herd of about 50 elephants came over as we were closing the show. So we carried on for another 10 or 15 minutes and watched them because it was just so brilliant. But they're two that I can really remember now. So great to have you on board, Jerry, in Australia, and fantastic for watching Safari Live, mate. We hope you continue. Look at that light, isn't that beautiful? Sabrina's just also sent us another little comment, folks, and I'm just going to share with you. Sabrina's done a wonderful project on giraffes recently for school, which is fantastic. One of my most favourite animals on the planet, Sabrina, and you did it for school, and you're planning on visiting South Africa soon. Well, my friend, that would be super to have you here, that's for sure. Thank you so much. Folks, I'm just going to take a couple of photos, if that's okay, because this is just so beautiful, this light. And I do apologise for the clicking in the background, but I cannot tell you how beautiful that light is on that elephant. Oh, you can see it. Oh, gosh, he's beautiful. Well, just as this elephant starts to walk off, we're going to go to a man that walks as quiet as an elephant, has the brain size of an elephant, has the communication skills of an elephant. No other than James Hendry. We'll see you just now.
Know what I mean? Hello everybody, we're back on walk now. We're going to head up towards the western side here. Herbert is in front of us. We just had to find him. That's why it took a little bit of time to get going. Viam is on camera. Hello, Viam. There we go. Viam's unusually large thumb would indicate to you that he's probably about 7 feet tall. He isn't. He's about 5'8", same as me. All right, let's go on a little bushwalk. For those of you who have never been on a bushwalk before, well, welcome to it. We're as live as Hayden is on the other vehicle. You can talk to us, #SafariLive, questions@wildearth.tv. My second walk of the day, Herbie as well. And there were some lion tracks apparently up to the north there. And so the idea is that we go and see if we can find where those lions went. I think Hayden will probably head towards those leopards eventually once Brent or Aubrey or Taxon find them. And that is the story of the afternoon. It's a glorious afternoon to be on foot. I'm not sad at all not to be in a car, to be honest, simply because there isn't a cloud in the sky. One should be strolling on a Sunday afternoon, really. And unfortunately, I've had to retrieve a new stick. And the new stick here is a function of the fact that I broke the old one this morning while losing my temper with a knobthorn that had attacked me. But this one will be very effective when you know, bopping someone on something or someone on the head. So if Liam doesn't behave correctly, we'll just bop him on the head. If a lion was to come past, we'll just stop it in its tracks. That's basically a pretty good stick for that sort of thing. Now, Dave, you want to see some snakes. It's not great snake time, Dave, but we might be lucky. We could be lucky. Snakes at this time of the year that you'd look out for would probably be something like a puff adder, which would walk onto the road or come onto the road to absorb some of the heat once the sun has gone down. So that's a possibility. We could easily see a puff adder. I got to tell you, I have not seen a lot in the way of snakes out here, though. That's not to say they aren't around. Their tracks are all over the place, and I saw a few snake tracks today, so maybe we'll see some tracks. But Dave will do my level best to find you some snakes. Now, this morning I spoke quite extensively about the about the creosote that had been put onto the trees in order to protect them. There's a tree up here. For those of you, while we get there, just to give you some background, if you look around this area, if you look around quarantine clearings here, what you find is that it's like parkland. And parkland we as human beings find very attractive because it is, well, I'll go into the psychology of it just now, but if you have elephants coming across a clearing like this, what you find is that because it's been artificially cleared underneath the trees, only the big trees are here for them to eat. And they do this sort of thing. They will debark the tree and render it dead, as VM is showing you there. Now, if you don't want your trees to be rendered dead, then what you do is what Yuri and Mike Grover, who looks after this place, does. Come over here, Vim, it's over here. And this is an experiment that they've done. I didn't think it would work. It's a very simple kind of experiment. But if you look up here, you can see a little tin. And this little tin is filled with a substance called creosote, which is filled with well, it's a kind of organic substance. I think it's derived from oil, is it, Vim? No, I thought VM would know this, but well, I think it's an oil-derived substance. And the elephants apparently don't like the smell. And all over quarantine, there are trees with these little tins of creosote on them, and apparently the elephants have left them alone. This one, I think, was probably damaged before the creosote was put onto it. So that's a really simple way of looking after the trees around here. And just one last look down through here, and tell me, I'd really like to know in one word from all of you, well, maybe not everybody, I mean 1,000 words would be quite a lot, but maybe if you wouldn't mind sending through one word, tell me as VM pans from right to left there, what that makes you feel with the tall trees and lots of space underneath them. And tell me just in one word how that kind of scenery, that kind of vegetation type makes you feel, and then I'll tell you a little bit about it. And just by way of comparison, if you're struggling to come up with a word, just look through here, over there, where the bush is much thicker. There are still the same tall trees, but there's a lot more in the understory. And tell me how that makes you feel, how that compares you or changes the way you feel. And then we'll discuss it. Hashtag SafariLive, questions at wildearth.tv. Come on, VMP, don't dally. Now we're going to have a fireside chat this afternoon, a very short one, and we're going to talk to Hayden, obviously, around the fire, mainly about the schools program that he and the Taronga Zoo are doing. Please, if you want to ask any questions, ideally about the sort of subject we're going to talk about, but if you want to know what Hayden's doing, because of course since you last saw him, he's moved from Surrey in England. Well, that's where he was working. He was living in Pimlico in London, and now he's living back in Sydney. So if you want to ask him a few things like that, because the fireside chat is short, it's only 15 minutes, it would be good if you would send through your questions now so that we can get a few lined up before we go towards the fireside chat. Okay, good. Rebecca, any words yet on the vegetation? Rebecca's gone radio silent. Oh, none, not at the moment. Okay. Zoe, you say beautiful. And Patrick, you're wondering how often we see big cats in the wild. You're from Holland and you're a new viewer. Lovely to hear from you. Thank you. We see big cats out here often, just about on a daily basis. Lions especially, leopards sometimes, and on foot not as often because we don't cover the same amount of ground, but we do see cats on foot sometimes as well, but almost on a daily basis. I'd see probably about, what would we say, about 80% of the drives probably we see a big cat, a lion or a leopard, sometimes cheetah. I know they're not cats, but we see hyenas as well, and I know they're definitely not cats, we see wild dogs as well, relatively regularly. So that's what, those sort of frequency that we see the big cats. Here, careful VM, are some tracks. There we go, a buffalo track, everybody. Now, Jared, You said fresh. John, you said expansive, and Curious One, no. John, you said homesick, and I think Curious One, you said expansive. I think I've got that right. I may have got them all in the wrong order. But here is this is just quickly, this is a buffalo track, and it's quite fresh. I think I walked across here this morning while we were on our morning walk. We did see them in the distance, and Jamie actually opened the show with them. You can see some recalcitrant guarri bush that got stuck on the animal. Now, the difficulty with this kind of tracking a couple of hours ago. And you can see how, because the sand is so perfectly crushed there. Okay, all right, we keep losing picture, so we're going to stand up a bit. Now, that landscape that we were looking at is what you might describe as parkland. Now, parkland it's the same reason that all of our parks are the same in cities, with trees and lots of understory. Apparently, it makes us feel happy. There's some impala through there, Vimpy. And this is exactly why it makes us feel happy. Can you see them? You got them there. Now we can see them because there isn't a great big understory here. Now in our human prehistory, on the plains of East Africa and indeed Southern Africa, if you wanted to survive, you needed to get up into a tree when there was a threat, and when you were on the ground walking around, you needed to be able to see what was going to come and eat you. That is why, apparently, this is what the evolutionary psychologists will tell you, this kind of area of parkland looks so attractive to us. In the thick bush, we start to feel uncomfortable because we can't see what's going on, and it's why a park, for example, in cities has big trees and lots of short grass underneath. I think that's quite interesting. Maybe it was obvious to you. It wasn't to me when I first read it. Herbert is just up ahead there. We're heading due west into the setting sun. And while we do that, so let's head across to Hayden, get an update from him and find out what his plans are from now.
James has always got so much fantastic information, particularly when you're on foot. You know, he loves it. Getting out on there with the real small detail is always a great thing on a walk. We just left that elephant bull. He was so beautiful in that afternoon light there with all that mud on him. But I just want to show you these two little guys, two of my favourites. Up here, I'll just turn off. We don't want to drive up too close because they're a bit skittish, and you can see these wonderful warthog here right now. The little antennae up at the back when they run there, that tail. Fantastic little adaptation there for them to be able to see each other through long vegetation. But they're a little bit skittish, the warthog, around here, and sometimes you can go to places in Africa where the warthog are very, very conditioned. But here they have a tendency just to move away. Sometimes you'll get an encounter that's a bit closer, but just getting Brian a little bit better shot there. I think I've just rolled up too far. Nice tusks on that boy there. Yeah, there we go. But yeah, you get it just on edge a little bit there. But beautiful creatures, absolutely fantastic. Diurnal creatures. I'm just going to carry on because we've got a little bit of a mission we're going to go on here. Diurnal creatures, so that means that they are operating during the day and they're sleeping during the night, normally in a burrow that they've commandeered that was made by aardvark or hyena or anything for that matter. Termite mounds like we've got on the right here become incredible homes to so many different species of animals. Not only termites under there who have built that incredible structure, but you'll find aardvark will dig into those, and then once the aardvark abandons it, you might get warthog move in and have a series, or an area where they'll have different burrows that they sleep in or they use for safety. And then you might get a den of hyena denning there. You might have even seen wild dog. I've even seen a leopard come out of a warthog or a aardvark. We're going to go down here, hole, and so lots of different animals. And I've also seen mambas come out of them as well. So not a great place to stand in front of a warthog hole if ever you're in the bush. Always go to the side of the warthog hole and have a look down. Don't stand in front of it, because if a warthog does come barreling out, yes, you will know about it. So what we're going to do go down here is there was a very special creature found here this morning, and Brian is steering me through this because I wasn't here this morning. A very special creature indeed. A leopardess that I have to say that I am madly in love with. It is the Karula we are talking about, the Karula, the Queen of Juma, and she was down here and she made a kill, and it was in a very inaccessible spot. Look at these lovely little guys. Sorry, before I move on, we always need to stop. I'm just going to turn off. That's really cool. They're youngsters. Look at those beautiful, beautiful waterbuck. They're only youngsters and they're really woolly, aren't they? I always think that, you know, we've got to be careful we don't give just a cursory glance to these incredible hoofed animals that we've got here and stop and look at every one. Even the wonderful and incredibly populated impala, we need to make sure that we stop and enjoy every single creature. At the moment we're just looking at white rings on bottoms there. So we might move around a little bit. They might trot off because they're only youngsters and they might not have the confidence up at the moment. There's an impala there and a zebra off a little bit further on. All looking for, a bit hard there, Bryce, sorry mate. Well, look, we just got a little request here from Emily in Durban to find you a zebra today. Well, Emily, I think we can do that. Brian, let me just crack back a little bit for you. Just tell me when you can see that little zebra face there, mate. Yep. Emily, there you go, my friend. There's a little zebra through there. See, peeking through there is a zebra. It's the plain zebra or the Birchall zebra, the more common of the zebras, but you know, we don't use the word common in a way that is definitely not a word that I'm using lightly there. It's just common because they're the most abundant zebra, but they're so fantastic, and these are the ones that have got the shadow stripe. Now, I was just over in Namibia and I saw this amazing zebra subspecies there called a Hartman's mountain zebra, and they don't have the little shadow stripe that these ones do, and they've got really tight stripes close together. So there's lots of different ones, and right up in Kenya you've also got another zebra called a Grevi zebra, which are got very super tight stripes. But this is our plains or Birchall zebra that we've got here. And Emily, go on, give me another animal to find. What do you think? There you go. Thanks for watching, Emily. Great to have you on board. So we've also got a school in Namibia, or a friend of mine's got a camp over there, and she's got some kids with her at the moment that are watching. I think they may have just finished watching and they've gone out on game drive, but they might have caught a little bit of it before we had those hiccups earlier. But isn't it great that kids can be watching, and adults alike, of course, all you adults that are watching now that watch religiously, we, as I said, always, we couldn't do it without you. But isn't it great to know that kids can have this experience, particularly in rural and remote areas that might not get the chance to come on safari, might not get a chance to even travel out of their country, or for that matter, and I have to say this with great care and love, for children, you know, might not be able to. They might not be well. They might, you know, there might be something else going on in their world. So if we can give them a little escape or a little adventure and an unforgettable experience, that's the most important thing, because we need to flick that love nature switch in every little kid when we can. As soon as we can do it, think about when you did it. I'm going to ask a question now to you guys on Twitter, and we'll try and randomly pick out some comments. But tell us in a tweet, when was the time, in a very short tweet, obviously, when was the time that your love nature switch was flicked in your life? Was it with your mum or your dad when you were in the woods, or you were going off, you saw a bear, or, you know, with me, I'm going to share this with you. I blame it on the humble chicken. My dad bought me 4 chickens when I was about 5, and that was it. My love nature switch, or love animal switch, was flicked in my soul. So tweet us and tell us what your love nature moment was, or when it happened to you, because we've all had one. We've all had one, and it might be a vivid memory that you have. So just give us a tweet or an email and tell us what that was. So Brian, where do you think we should go? Okay, going to go around. Sorry, Control, can you just repeat that lady's name, please? Thank you. Sorry, it's a man. Sorry, I do apologise. I didn't know, I thought it was Claire. But Blair, male Blair, thank you very much, I do apologise, in Canada has asked if I've bought my lucky porcupine quill. For people who don't know about the porcupine quill, it was just a bit of fun. I found this porcupine quill one day and I just randomly gave it a rub and said, this is our lucky porcupine quill. Well, that 2014 Safari Live Big Cat Week that we did was just out of control. It was epic, the animals that we saw and the things that happened. So we sort of kept this porcupine quill going, and I have got it with me, and I've just got to tell you that I haven't got it with me right now, but it is in my backpack. And after the scrambling around this afternoon and changing vehicles, it obviously wasn't bringing me much luck earlier in Rusty, but I do have it with me, Blair. Just a bit of fun there. But thanks for watching, Blair, and great to have you on board in Canada. Wow, there's some interesting elephant impact on this bushland that I'm seeing right in front of us now. You heard James talking about the measures that we're taking up on quarantine, up on that area to stop elephants pushing over the trees. I'm really noticing it here. Excuse me, please. That being said, you know, these things happen naturally, and when a severe sort of dry spell like we're in right now, it can have a great impact on all the animals in the habitat, but elephants will then be going for the higher, more tastier treats, if there is any up there, and pushing these trees over to get the tender shoots or leaves that are left on the top, or sweeter bark. So I'm really noticing a lot of these trees being pushed right over. So James Richard, how are you, mate? Great to have you on board, and great to be back, and thank you very much for messaging in. James, you want to know how I'm feeling to be back at Juma? Ecstatic, elated. I can't contain my excitement, but I have to look professional and all that sort of thing. But inside there's a small kid jumping up and down, just sitting in this car, living my dream, living my absolute dream from when I was a kid. So yeah, I'm a little bit excited to be back. What is my thoughts? Your second part of your question is, what's my thought about the landscape and the drought and the conditions of the animals, etc. Well, look, there is a sort of classic dry spell at this time of the year, no matter what. The bush in Africa at this time of the year, and where we are, it does get dry. It's middle of winter, there's very low rainfall, and it does get like this, but it's also, it has been elongated at the ends with very, very low rainfall up until the winter, so it's had a greater impact is probably the best way. Brian, which way do you think, mate? I do apologise, James, just to stand by for me on the question. Brian's just trying to remember where we oh, you're just thinking of having a guess. Okay. Brian's just using his intuition here to see if we can pick up even tracks of Karula crossing the road. So, James, if I don't turn to camera and speak to you personally there, know that I am just looking ahead for any tracks or Karula as well. So James, yeah, the condition of the habitat is very, very dry. I do think that, you know, there's permanent water here, okay, so you're always going to have animals here, but the impact on animals is probably going to be seen if this continues, because if all the plains animals or we're going to just turn around and go up this road here, a lot of the hoofed animals and the food for the large carnivores disappears. Either the carnivores will end up leaving as well, or sometimes it can go the other way. You'll always get animals that are pressured to stay in the area, and sometimes the carnivores can benefit from that. I'm just slowly approaching up here because there's a vehicle, and I'm not sure if it is Karula that they've found, but let me just slowly edge my way up here and see if we can make a plan. I'm just trying to see if it's While we're doing this, and I just might get out a bit of information from the guys up here, let's cross over to James and see what he's up to, and I will come back to you just now. It's great to be here, folks.
Now we've come up the road, everybody. We've found a fallen marula tree, which is not precisely what I wanted to show you, but Viam is feeling artistic this afternoon, so he thought he'd just show you this marula tree. Now, over there you can see Herbert. Herbert is currently now following tracks of the Nguhuma Pride. We found the tracks on the road. We're not sure if they are, how fresh they are, because the ground is quite difficult to see on. There are tracks of the cubs as well. We think they may have gone down there, but they may have just they were chasing some buffalo here. They may have chased them for a while and come back, possibly yesterday. So we're just going to follow through here. So while Herbie's trying to discern what's going on, we'll discover what else we can around here. The first thing I want to show you is whether or not this is a male or female marula tree. Now, it's important, it's important, but it's quite interesting. This, I would imagine, is a male tree, and I'm going to confirm that by looking to see if I can see any pips on the ground. I cannot see any pips on the ground, so I'm going to confirm that it's male. And that's because if you look at these ends, they don't branch very much, the ends of the leaves. Now, obviously, the females branch a lot more because they have to bear all the fruit. So they branch probably 3 or 4 more times than these ones do. And that's where the fruit comes from, and it obviously gets dropped on the ground. And we'll try and find you a female one. But I suspect quite strongly, and I don't know this for sure, that elephants ring bark and push over male marula trees far more than they do the females, because they know the females produce fruits. They don't obviously, well, I mean, we don't know this for sure, but we're pretty sure that they don't know what tree is female and what tree is male. But what they do know is which trees produce fruit and which do not, and that comes entirely from their memory. So I think that's quite interesting. If you want to have a son, you're a newly married couple, or perhaps you're not that newly married, but you'd like to produce a son, what you do is you take the bark of that marula tree, you cut a little bit of it off, you soak it in some water, and you give it to your wife, and she will then bear you a son. If you want a daughter, if you're brave enough to have a daughter, then what you will do is take the female tree, the bark of that, make a tea of that, and drink it. Don't know if it works or not. I suppose it's probably got about a 50-50 chance of working properly. Herbie says the tracks have turned around. He's coming back toward... No, he's not. He's saying, let's go this way. Okay, let's see what Herbert's got to say about these lion tracks over here. We'll walk slowly through. We don't want to get Viam stuck in a bush. Even though he is 5'8", his aerial is far larger than 5'8". So come gently through here. We don't think these tracks are that fresh, so we don't need to be too quiet at this stage. If we look like, or if it feels like they're going to be fresh, you'll notice my voice drops immediately, and you can feel it. You can feel it when tracks are fresh and you're on them and you've been concentrating. You can feel when they start to, it feels like the lions are close. And you then talk like this and shake your ash bag very often to see which way the wind's blowing. Right, Herbie. Hunting here. Very nice. Okay. Okay, we'll just keep checking. All right, I'll tell you what Herbert said here. So here's the female's track. Here. You can see it there. That's her track there. The 3 back pads and the 4 front pads. And here she's being followed by her youngster. 3, 4, and the 3 back pads. Herbie's still not convinced that they are moving in this direction. Well, they're obviously moving here, but he's not convinced that they headed this direction, other than to try and follow an animal or two on the hunt. So what he's doing is he's circling around to see if there aren't others that come back this way, because we did find a patch there where they were lying. It's difficult to tell, especially because they were moving, whether that lion track is fresher than the ones where they were lying. Let's continue through here. Nice lion tracking country this, because it's open, and that means you're unlikely to stand on a lion's tail before you've seen it. That is important when you're tracking lions, because lions don't like having their tail stood on. Do they, Wiem? Not at all, correct. Yeah, Herbie thinks still going down this way. Now, Crad from Romania, this is your second question. It's wonderful to have you back with us. Thank you for sending us a question. Crad, everybody, is all the way from Romania. You say you've noticed that Herbert has got a rifle. He does have a rifle. We're going to go down this way so that Wiem doesn't get mangled. And you say it's for protection. And do the vehicles carry a rifle as well to protect them from perhaps lions? Crad, they don't. And the reason that Herbie's carrying a rifle is that if you're guiding in what we call a high-profile game area here in South Africa, it's a legal requirement that you carry a weapon. We don't, well, it's not a legal requirement, it's a legal requirement in so much as, were there to be an accident, here's another track there, were there to be an accident, you obviously want to make sure that you've got as much protection as possible, but you'll find that Herbert has never fired a weapon in anger, so the chances of him ever happening to use it or having to use it are extremely small. On the vehicle, the animals do not perceive us in the same way as they do out here on foot. On foot they perceive us as much more of a threat, and obviously you can't just drive away from something. If it comes at you, you have to stand your ground, and then the rifle does help a bit. But on the vehicles it's simply not necessary. Now, Herbie's saying they lay down over here. So if we look here, oh look, you can see here, well, I'm just going to ask Wiem to pan around here. You can see the ground is a little bit flattened. You can see here where they got up. And all I'm showing you there is their feet as they've slipped, as they've kind of got up like that. Did you see that, Wiem? Got up like that. Feet have slipped and they've started to move again. Let's keep following. Herbert is right on the tracks. I don't think these are particularly fresh, but of course we know that lions do very little during the course of a day, and so we may come across them at any stage. In the meantime, here is a piece of dung. Now, I don't know what kind of dung that is, but I suspect, Dave, that this is a snake's dung. I know it's either a reptile or a bird, because the cloacal opening, the opening from which they must defecate and urinate, is the same, one and the same. So what happens is that the feces comes out there, and then the uric acid in the urine produces that white tip to the top of the feces. And this is quite long, it's quite solid, so I don't think it's a bird. It could be a monitor lizard, I suppose. A very large tree or rock monitor could have put it down here, but I wonder if a snake hasn't come through here and dropped it at some stage. It's not very fresh during the last few days, possibly during the midday when it was hot enough before they went back down into their holes, because in the winter, of course, they're not particularly active. Very nice. Let's continue. Herbie's just over there, big termite mound, and the lions have walked past that. Now, I'm sure there must be some of you thinking to yourselves, you know, hunting lions, or we're not hunting them, obviously we're tracking them, but that must be a fairly dangerous activity. Well, I mean, the risk is there. We know that these lions have got cubs, and so there is an element of risk involved in it. But, you know, as long as we are careful, if we find them, the females will growl. If we move away, then they'll leave us alone. And I mean, the idea would be to try and view them, say, from a vantage point like that termite mound, or, you know, with a clearing between us and them, and then we'd call the vehicles in and they would get a much closer look. That's quite interesting. You see here this elephant dung, but in the middle of it, duiker has obviously gone to the loo, and it's so close. In fact, it looks like an impala. It's so closely packed that I suspect this impala was lying here, comforted by the softness of the elephant down on the ground. I suppose it must, you know, if you don't have a feather bed, well, elephant dung is not a bad thing to lie in amongst. Now, Hayden was telling you about holes in termite mounds, so come and have a look here. And when you approach the hole in a termite mound, I know this one isn't inhabited, but what you do is normally come up to it from the side like this, and then you'll look to see if there's any fresh activity. You might... Is that your belly or an elephant? Elephant's calling from quite a long way to the south of us. Then you'll give it a little tap, see if anyone's home. The warthog sticks its head out, then you'll just stand here like this and let it go out. But otherwise, you can walk around the front and have a look. Now, if you come over here, VMP, you can see this has definitely been dug by an aardvark, or ant bear. It's a very large hole there. They've gone into it, but it's also been re-excavated, and I think probably by warthogs that have lived in there and stuck their heads in there. Warthogs have a number of temporary burrows around where they live, so that would have been one of the things. Lion track's still going this way. Herbie's just waved at me from through the thickets. I've got to tell you, it's something of an honor going for a walk with a man like this, because he sees things that I just don't. We were walking just now before you came to join us. He was going, see the track there, and that's where it was chasing the buffalo, and that's where the cub turned around and came back, and that's where it lay down. I don't know what on earth he was talking about. Now, I've been in this area for some time, and still that level of skill absolutely astounds me. I haven't seen any tracks for a while. Did you see one? A couple of them. Lynn, you want to know if we ever see owls? Is that right, Rebecca? Owls? We do see owls. Many. Owl pellets. Oh, owl pellets, yes. Sometimes owl pellets, everybody, if you don't know, are something like an animal like or an owl like a barn owl will eat a rodent whole. They don't pick them apart like a giant eagle owl does. They'll swallow the rodent whole, and then the digestive system is so clever that what it does is basically produce a dry pellet of fur and bones, and then they spit it out. We do find them. Barn owls not that common around here, and I think not all the owl species produce them. I think maybe the white-faced does. I've certainly seen a pearl-spotted owl picking apart a carcass. They're not swallowing them whole, and so they probably don't produce the pellets in the same way. Incredible sighting we had yesterday of two white-faced owls, and a viewer sent me an amazing video of a white-faced owl that's been in a sort of a bird rehab center. Because the two of them, I don't know if you were watching yesterday afternoon, but we had the perfect kind of picture book white-faced owl, and then another one that looked like it had been squashed flat with its ears up, and it looked like a totally different species. Now, this video that I was sent shows you how those owls morph entirely when they're faced with a threat. So I think they're probably threatened by us, and they sort of go, they look slightly taller, they go thinner, their ears come up, and they look a bit more like, I suppose, a vicious eagle owl. Very funny to watch. Going to get an update from Herbie up here. All right there, VMP. This is the ideal way to be tracking lions on bushwalk. You don't want to be talking, looking into the camera, then at the odd piece of track and that sort of thing. Herbert on point is ideal. We've had a little look at some reptile dung with me. I believe Hayden is following the Sunday dung theme, and he has some further dung on his dash.
So, you know, James and I like our poo. You can tell a lot from an animal's poo. You, as a zookeeper when I was, it could tell you if your animal was in good condition, if it had eaten something that wasn't good for it, and there's lots of other things. So, you know, animal feces are in our world, and we do use it as a sign that an animal's been here as well, so there's loads of different things. But on a serious note, and it's really interesting because a lot of the time you go through the bush and you might not see the animal, but you've got tracks and signs. And that's part of the bush newspaper. It's part of looking at the big picture and putting it all together. And I just wanted to show you, as we started off, James was talking about digestion. You can have a look here at this this elephant dung on the right, and look, these are still undigested sticks in here. The light is getting a bit low there for Brian. I've got to try and keep it still for him. But you can see how fibrous that elephant dung is here. But now, if we go down to this impala dung, this here is absolutely incredibly efficient digested material. If I break that open, I'll just cut it open here with my little dissection kit, and I've got to get some light on that for Brian. Sorry, you can have a look there. It's as close as we can get, guys. But what that is, I might be able to sprinkle it and give a little bit more of an idea from the dust that comes out of it. Here we go, look at that. Look at that. That is finely chewed up, ruminated, look, it's flying away just like dust there, vegetation of an impala. Now, what the animal has done has chewed it up, it's gone into its first of its stomachs, and it's come back up as rumen. And it's been regurgitated, and then you might have seen, you know, driving along in the countryside wherever you live when you're watching in the world, you might have seen a cow standing on the side of the road, chewing like that. That's my impersonation of a cow ruminating. You may have seen that, and it is the cow chewing over and getting the most out of it. And then what happens through a process of going through this several-chambered or four-chambered stomach, it processes really indigestible plant matter called cellulose down into a digestible carbohydrate, which is energy for the animal, through a process of fermentation. So the elephant has got a very, very inefficient, so to compensate for that, it has to consume vast amounts, which is why we're seeing all this sort of, let's not call it damage, but impact on the habitat. Whereas these little guys have an incredible ability to consume and efficiently use the same plant cellulose, but look what comes out. So there lies the sermon, the end of the poo story from James and I. We will get rid of that for the minute. I normally put them on the bonnet, but they end up staying there for the whole drive, which can be quite annoying. We'll make sure that that doesn't go into anyone's dinner tonight. Right, so we move on and we have a look. So this is an area that Karula was seen in, Brian tells me earlier this morning, and he's not sure either, so we're just sort of looking and looking and looking at the moment. Brent Leo Smith, known also to me as, I like to call him the bloodhound when it comes to leopard, has also told us that it was around this area. So let's just keep our eyes open and see what happens. You never know what's around the next corner. Now, do you know what? I'm just going to tell you something really weird where that came out just now. When that saying that some people may know me for saying you never know what's around the next corner, and the reason I say that is because right on this moment, this point just here, I said that on the other side of the road, and I came around the corner, and there was Blondie from the Birmingham Boys, the only male that I hadn't seen on the day, sitting in the middle of the road. And that's why It is a true fact, folks. You never know what's around the next corner. And I love that about the bush, and I love that about the adventure, and I love that about having you guys with me, the anticipation of wherever you are sitting in the world at the moment, joined on this fantastic live drive that we do every day, or this magical team of Safari Live people. You're with us, and the anticipation is great. He was just here. So let's keep our eyes out for this beautiful girl. Lauren from Melbourne. Hello, Melbourne, Australia. Lauren, so great to have you on board. You're a new viewer. Well, for new viewers, I stopped the car. I salute you. Thank you very much for being with us. And you're saying that it's worth staying up for till 2 o'clock in the morning in Australia. Well, that's so great to hear, Lauren. And hopefully we've got you hooked and you've become a soldier in our army. Welcome, Lauren. Great to have you on board. Let's find ourselves a leopard. Not just any leopard, but the Queen. Now the story went that she killed an impala, and Brent said it was in an incredibly inaccessible area, but that doesn't mean that it's still there. She might have dragged it, she might have put it up a tree, but I think she wouldn't have probably put it up the tree straight away, because I think the story went that it looked like she went off to get her cubs. And I haven't seen the cubs yet. So, wow. Okay, we've got a message from, I think it's Dispatch. I think that's correct, Control. Dispatch is your handle or your call sign. You would like to know what my most memorable experience in the bush. Oh my goodness me. Do you know what? It's too hard to answer just one, because there's so many memorable ones. But you know, I've been on drives with Brian and VM and Chris as well. Hi. And hi guys, sorry about that. And I've had incredibly memorable experiences. We stop and say hi? Yeah, why not? This is the one and only Brent Leo Smith and Mr. Wallington and your team.
Hi everybody. And Emily's hiding at the back as usual.
Hello Em, hi everyone. We saw some lovely Ellies just down below the camp this morning. We're just talking about you actually, and maybe you can help. Where did you see Karula last?
You can go straight in. If you come down here, go down to Treehouse Dam, and then cross over the dam wall, and then head straight to the east. You'll see all the vehicle tracks. She's out in the open now. You might be able to get a better spot with the camera than we could get in this long car.
Okay. How many people there?
Just one. You can go straight.
Folks, I love it when a plan comes together. You never know what's around the next corner. Hey! Oh, any gear? Thanks, guys. Isn't that magic? How fantastic is that? We just bump into Brent. I was saying Brent was telling us this, Brent was telling us that. You never know what's around the next corner. And it might not be an animal, but it might be intelligence from people that know. And many of you would know that was Graham Wallington and his wife Emily, the foundation of Safari Live, those guys there on it's Emily's birthday, so I wish her a fantastic happy birthday. Treehouse. Can we go down that way, Bri? Hi, folks, I just have to remember my roads. I go straight, straight. Treehouse, wasn't it? Yeah, we'll go left okay, gotcha. Sorry, folks, I just have to get myself orientated again and make sure I'm not going the wrong way. So I think there is news. It could have been that road actually, Brian, couldn't it? Yeah. I think it was. Yep. This is what happens. This is what we do. It's all fine. We always make a plan. And we will go down and see if we can find this beautiful girl. Now Karula many of you viewers are going to know a lot more about Karula than I do. Many of you have known her since she was born, and I've just had several encounters with her that I've never forgotten. Sightings that just blow your mind because she's this incredible mother. She's got an incredible history. Yeah, and she's known as the Queen of Djuma, and Djuma, the private game reserve we're on right now. And I just love this cat. Her son is my other favourite, and his name's Mr. Q. But I don't think I'm going to see him this week because he's actually on a few other properties. But he is sort of loitering around. But he was the first leopard I saw on Djuma in 2014. But Karula, who we're going to hopefully see soon, if we are lucky and we're heading the right direction, I just love leopards. We all love leopards. They are such an incredible cat, but we do know intimate details about these leopards on Djuma and on SafariLIVE, and many of you watching have helped us with that. I often rely on you all to help me if I've spotted a leopard that I'm not sure of who it is, and I really only sort of can really pick out Mvula, Karula and Quarantine are my sort of three that I can remember. But you know, the Anderson male, Tingana, and many others, Sindile, well, I'd be able to recognise Sindile at the moment, but many of these leopards, and for you first-time viewers and SafariLIVE people that have just come on board for the first few times, we get to know our animals intimately here, and their stories, and the stories are so hugely important, because, you know, we can sit here and bombard or tell you fact after fact after fact, but it's what connects us with these animals and the stories behind them. And research has shown, and I'm telling you this without a lie, a very good friend of mine, my director at the zoo that I work at, Paul Maguire, told me about this paper that he read recently. Research has shown that people connect with the story. They connect with the story, they remember the story. And I just love that. So, Chris Rogue, how are you, buddy? Good to have you on board. Chris has just tweeted in and she said her love nature switch was triggered by a television program in the United States that went right across the world, which I used to watch as a kid, Chris, as well. Brian, which way do you reckon? Okay. I think you said to go across the dam wall and then east. Sorry, Chris, I'm coming to you right now. Chris, you're saying you blame your love nature switch being flicked because of the program Wild Kingdom. Well, I tell you, Chris, I have to say I hugely agree on that. On a television program, well before I was watching Attenborough or anything like that, or any of the, you know, interesting sort of documentaries on Nat Geo or anything like that, I was watching Wild Kingdom as a kid. Wow. Guys, whilst I do this, we're going to cross to James. He's gone from dung to something very, very special. I'll see you just now.
We found the lions, everybody. Herbert found the lions. There they are. There. There's a lioness moving. Did you see it? Did you see it there, Vimpy? We don't know if you saw it, everybody. So you'll have to let us know. We're going to wait here. There's a big thicket in there. They've got the youngsters. We're not going to go anywhere. There. There's another one. We heard some impala alarm calling. Did you see them there, Vimpy? Rebecca, did you see them? There, another one. More of them moving. This is so exciting, everyone. This is just the most fantastic thing. Because there are some little ones in there, we're not going to go any closer. We'll try and get one last look by moving parallel with them, and then we're going to call the vehicles in. This is just brilliant. It's just too fantastic for words. It's so awesome. I'd love to. I mean, that's very nice of Herbert to be congratulating me. It's entirely him. That is just brilliant. We'll just try and get one last look. Like I say, because they're in some thick bush there, we're not going to go any closer because it's quite possible that the female will come herring out at us, and that Herbert says we'll start to dance then. So Herbie's going to call it in on the radio. Now, it's very important at this stage that we don't behave like predators. We must behave completely like we've seen them, like we are dominant, and like we are not stalking them. Now the bush is getting thick. Yim. Okay, let's go a little bit closer. So we'll bring the vehicles in now, everyone. We'll see if we can get one more view. This is unbelievable. Yeah. Which one? A few more steps. I'm sure they've moved off into some thicker bush. Because they're aware of us, they will keep moving and just keep. Okay. Just excuse my not looking at you. I've got to keep looking in the bush here. I'm just going to let Herbert assess quickly. Okay, they are coming in the vehicle. We're just going to try. We'll walk parallel with them. They were in this thicket here. What we don't want to do is make them feel harassed. Okay, this is very thick in here. We're going to move all the way around here. As soon as we can get a vehicle in here, obviously they will have a much better view than we will. Here comes a vehicle now. They're still in here. There's some impala over there, so we're probably going to move around here. Some impala through where Herbert was looking. All right. I think while we try and sort things out here, I think that's the best view we're going to get. Just brilliant stuff. Let's go back across to Hayden. He's got another cat for you. A brilliant Sunday cat festival. Let's go and have a look.
Well, my friends, I tell you what, I can't tell you how exciting this is. It's all right, baby. It's all right, baby. It's okay. It's okay. There's Karula, just down there, and there's her little cub. I can only see one at the moment. Ah, she is so beautiful. This is just brilliant. What an absolutely superb way to finish the week. Sunday, sensational Sunday. So the little cub is just laid down out of our vision, but Karula's just there. I just want them to get used to us a little bit, folks. Just obviously I'm not in the most fantastic position for Brian with that that tree right in the way here, but I just pulled in here, and let's just let them get sorted out. And we're just getting used to us, because the little cubs are also a little just not temperamental, but okay, sorry, My cap just getting into shot there a little bit, folks. I do apologise. But look at her. She's just down there in that lovely little cool spot. Nice breeze flowing. Aha, look what's just come up behind her. Oh, how special is this? The other cub. Phew. That's good to see. Both of them. A male and a female. And how beautiful. Hello, my friends. And hello, you old friend. Isn't she spectacular? Look, just the way she even sits and looks. I mean, a leopard to me is the absolute epitome of beauty, strength and stealth. It's like embodied in this cat, and I just love leopards. You cannot just get tired of looking at them. Wow. So what I'm going to do is, obviously they know we're here. I want to try and get Brian in a little bit better position. He's got these two trees right in the middle of frame from my fantastic arrival here. Brian, I might just move over to the right a little bit, mate. Is that better for you? It's okay, my friends. It's okay, guys. There we go. We didn't even see a movement there. So that's how conditioned or habituated the leopards are to our vehicle. So let me just move back a little bit. Just want to try and get Brian in the V of that tree. So he's got a beautiful shot for you. It's alright, my darling. It's okay. I'm not going to come too close because I know you've got your babies. How's that, Brian? Is that a bit better? Yeah, that looks a bit better. So if we focus on her, we've got more chance of the babies coming up to her to show a little bit of interaction, of maternal interaction, and if we follow the little cubbies, they're probably going to run around. They're just cleaning themselves, so it looks like they've just had a feed down below in that little gully or little dry creek bed, or what we call a drainage line just below us. So we're on quite a steep angle here, and they're completely relaxed. They're cleaning, the little cub is cleaning himself down there, just like a domestic cat would, or you'll see your cat after it's eaten at home if you own a cat. Very, very particular about their cleanliness, cats, and they do that characteristic licking their paw and pawing their face, cleaning their face after they've eaten. So that's great news that she's taken an impala, she stashed it, she then went back and got the cubs. Look at that. So she's just moving down now. She may go down and have a feed herself. And we've got that little guy just there. It's not the most fantastic of spots that I'm in at the moment, but I just want to get them used to us before I can reposition. They're in a very playful mood. Right, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to try and just get down over here to our right, and I can see if I can see down that. I can see Karula just down below me here. Brian, if you can just see there a little bit of her back. Okay, so that must be where the kill is, and she's keeping a wary eye out for anyone at the moment. The cubs are just playing off behind here. I'm going to try and maneuver down here and just get a little bit of a sighting of her. It's okay, my girl. Good to see you. That's for sure. Isn't this fantastic? Karula, James with cats, big cats, lions on foot. This is Safari Live. If you love Africa and you love safaris and you love it live, you're in the right place. You're in the right place. I'm going to have to do a very tricky maneuver here. Just let me see if I can get a little visual on her down here. Oh yeah, that's sort of okay. Bri, what's that like for you? We can see her. It's not great. She's in a really tricky position here, folks. She's feeding down there. She's got her back to us. She's trying. See what she's doing now? She's scraping some leaf litter and dirt over the kill, because she wants to leave this kill on the ground for the cubs to feed on. So it's a very different behaviour that she's doing here. Instead of putting it up a tree and caching it up the tree, she's doing this characteristic pouring and covering. That's really great behaviour to see. As I said, folks, it's not the most incredible position we're in, but we do have Karula and cubs, so that's all that matters. How exciting! How exciting is that to see Karula? My goodness, I've missed her. I'm just going to turn around again and see if I can get into a better position for you, Brian. I think, is that any better there, mate? At least we can see the behaviour. It's not a clear shot, that's for sure, but at least we can see the behaviour, and that's really, really important. So she's also keeping a keen ear open for her cubs, and the cubs are getting older. I just have to remind you, someone might be able to tweet in and remind me how old these cubs are. If you can help me out there, that would be fantastic, and I can share that with the viewers. But that would be great to know. But 2 cubs still, and an incredible mother with great experience, and she's raised many a cub. So you can just hear another vehicle pulling up, folks, and just coming to share the sighting and see this magical cat. So we've just got her down there. I might, Brian, just reposition over here and let these guys in to have a little look. I'm going to just reverse up, guys, and you can pull in here and I'll go the other side, okay? We've got a great question from Paul, and Paul wants to know, does Karula look any different from the last time I saw her? More beautiful, more wonderful, maybe? No, I can't tell, Paul, I have to be completely honest with you, I can't remember what her condition was like last time I saw her. But it's okay, my girl. It's okay, darling. So just gently ease ourselves in here because we have this fantastic vehicle. And I don't know, Brian, whether this is going to be any better for you, but I'm doing my best here to try and... Okay, let's link over to James while I try and reposition and see what he's up to. We'll be with you just now.
Did you see that, Bex? I think you got them. We were kind of leaving this area and we saw some warthogs running, and a lion burst out of the bush from where she was. And I'm just going to show you where they are. You can see Aubrey's vehicle there. We were just kind of sneaking out of the area. Some warthogs came running past. She saw them and she shot out from where you're looking now. And we heard of a great ruckus down in the drainage. And Herbert reckons the big boar that was behind them turned and probably gave her a bit of a charge. And then the rest of them ran off. And she's gone back to join the others. Unbelievable. Brilliant stuff. Just a quick link here. I think we're probably going to keep making our way out of here, so if possible, we're going to link you back to Hayden. Is that okay? There, another one, another lion. Don't go to Hayden just yet. Oh, this is just too wonderful. No, I can't see her now. Let's just, come this way, Wimpy. Step to your right. To the left of Aubrey there. You might be able to see them. Just understand, everybody, this for Viam is extremely difficult because he's looking through a tiny little viewfinder. He's not able to kind of get a wide view like we are able to. It's a bronze-winged courser. I don't think we can see them anymore. Yeah, that was just fantastic. Okay, let's go back to Hayden and the leopard. If we get another view, we'll come quickly across. But I think we're slowly going to make our way towards quarantine. Wonderful stuff.
Well, my friends, this is absolutely incredible. She's just climbed up a tree right in front of us, and she's just plonked herself, I would tell you, 5 meters away from us, 15 feet in this tree. She's actually at the same height as our heads at the moment. Brian's probably looking straight into her eyes. She's looking down at her cubs at the moment, who I can see, but it's very, very difficult for me to explain where they are. They're down in some thick vegetation. She's watching them with a very, very close eye, but she has just gone up there. Oh my goodness, how good is that? So Wendy, thank you so much for your information about the cubs. Hosanna and Shangile, the cubs' names, if I pronounced that correctly, both born on the 2nd of February. Thank you so much, Wendy. Really brilliant information. And they're born the same month that I am, so I won't forget these little guys. But look at her. Look at Karula. Isn't she just fantastic? And look at those paws. This is those moments that you just don't forget, folks. We talked about moments before that you have with wildlife, and today, for me, this is one of those moments. I've really, really wanted to see Karula, and I didn't think I was going to get a chance, but sure enough, first drive out, the lucky porcupine quill folks, I think, had a little rub on us today. She's just relaxing there. So we were just with Brian, Brian's with me. We were just with James with those wonderful cats. And we crossed over to see Karula, but just before we got to you joined us on this cut. She just went up that tree like absolutely effortlessly, just effortlessly, and that's what makes these cats, without a doubt, the most versatile, broadest habitat tolerant cat in Africa. You know, they will live from anywhere in lowland rainforest, and in many lowland rainforests in Africa, they're the only large predator, or the largest of predators. Excuse me, I'm just touching my microphone here because it's falling off my hat. We've got these little microphones stuck under our hats now, which allow us to turn any direction, but it just fell off, so I do apologise for those little pops you heard. So yeah, they can be adapted to those lowland rainforests, to deserts, and the highest mountains. I mean, leopard have actually been found entombed in the Kilimanjaro ice cap. So, I mean, they are absolutely incredible. I use the word absolutely because it's one of those things, I just find them so beautiful. And when we've got animals that are habituated like this, so conditioned, so relaxed around us, it is a great feeling that the conservation work and whether it be tourism or whether it be proper habituation processes that happen with these leopards, you can obviously see that they've worked. Because what we have in front of us, folks, is far from a stressed out leopard. That is for sure. Beautiful. she's so great. I do. So whilst we're with this beautiful girl, and her little cubbies are down there playing around, I'll keep my eye on them for her and for you. We might just reposition a little bit back, and we're going to cross over and see what James is up to. I hope he's still with those lions. We'll see you just now.
We've left the lions, everyone. There are 3 vehicles in there now, all enjoying the sighting. I'd really, like I said, I'd love to take some kind of credit for finding them. Herbert pulled off an amazing tracking job today, I've got to tell you. Following these lions hard ground through the middle of the block here, it was a truly spectacular tracking feat, and I'm thoroughly in awe, and I really wish I could do the same sort of thing, but I'm afraid my skills don't extend to that. While we were tracking, we did find this fragment of elephant tusk, and of course it's illegal to have ivory, so it will be deposited into the bush once I've left it, and no one will ever find it again. But it's just a tiny little fragment of tusk, but the tusk itself, I think this is quite near the tip, must have been a really impressively sized tusk. Here are my hands. I suspect at its, well, round about where this broke, it was about that fat. So at the base, it would have been around that size. Now that's pretty impressive. What's that? It's about half a foot in diameter. Just listening there. The feeling of what we've just experienced is astounding. As Herbert said, Herbert was given a rev by those females 2 days ago when he found them on the kill. He found them on the waterbuck kill with the cubs and with the 2 males. And they gave him a rev, which means basically they charged him because they were so upset with him. And obviously that's always something you're worried about when you're tracking lions. As long as you stand still, you're normally okay. These ones saw us before we saw them, because we were up and down the road trying to find their tracks. And then they stood up and some impalas started alarm calling, so we stopped and we looked, and that's when Herbert managed to spot them, having tracked them so far across the bush. And then we just had that amazing sighting with you. Hardly a view, not the best lion view that you'll ever have, but to do it on foot like that, I have to tell you, is just, well, it's a rare experience and it's a profoundly wonderful experience. So I hope you all enjoyed it. I think at their closest, they were probably, when they came bolting out the bush there to chase the warthogs, they were probably at their closest, I don't know, 40 or 50 meters from us. So they were never that close. That's about 150, 200 feet. They were never that close. But if they chased that warthog, VM said, imagine if they chased that warthog towards us, then what would have happened? Well, they would have ignored us completely. They would have focused entirely on the warthog, and I've actually had that experience before on foot. You see lions bolting out of the bush, and they're chasing something else. They kind of look at you, and then they just keep on going. So we would have been perfectly safe. And when the warthog went, as they do, I thought it had been killed, but it hadn't, and it wasn't caught. Phew! Brilliant stuff. And you've got Karula as well. And you're absolutely right, everybody. Herbie is amazing. And it's, I've spoken quite long about this skill of tracking. And, you know, you find these, you come into an area like this and you find young guys like me 15 years ago or so, I'm not so young anymore, guiding, and you've got your big rifle and you've got your short shorts and your Land Rover, and you think you're a big deal. And on the front of the car, if you're lucky, is a guy like Herbert, who is actually your real bush teacher. And while your guests give you the credit for the animals that you see, it is almost always down to men like Herbert, who carry the last vestiges of an ancient culture of tracking, and especially amongst the Shangaan people. Shangaan people are a very small tribe, small grouping in South Africa, and it's with them, because of the Kruger Park probably, that the last vestiges of this real great tracking skill resides. actually in the culture, as opposed to a learning sort of a learned behavior down. If you go down to KwaZulu-Natal, you'll find very good Zulu trackers, but they haven't learned it in the same way as these guys have. They've kind of learned it on the job. These fellows have learned it from when they were tiny little boys. Just brilliant. And Wild Earth Girly, I will give Herbert a big Shangaan thank you. I'm not going to shout it to him because we are walking through the bush and there are lions there. So you would say to him, "Hikense ngopfu, Herbert. Hikensile ngopfu," which means that we're very grateful indeed, and so we are. Let's head back across to Hayden and the Queen of Djuma.
Well, from one incredibly skillful tracker to another incredibly skillful hunter. Herbie, an amazing tracker, and James's very, very kind words about him, and it's totally true. It's just you just want to be able to stand next to Herbie, and hopefully through osmosis you pick up some of his knowledge. But back to where we are now with this magnificent cat who, she's got her eyes on something down there. The cubs are just down below her, but she's very, very focused on something now. What we always keep our eyes open for is, you know, there could be an unsuspecting other hoofed animal walking up, or a herbivore, or anything, but also just got to keep their eyes out for hyena. So, but all the cubs are, you know, what's that? February, March, April, May, June, July, August. You know, the cubs are 7 months old now. But look at how beautiful her face is. Have a look at that. Brian's just coming back up. She's like very, very alert at the moment. And I just want to also just state some facts, folks. I said to you that we're about 15 feet away from her at nearly eye level. That's why we've got these incredible shots. Now, we would never drive up to a leopard like this. She came to us. We were parked here watching her in the gully, that little drainage line. Then she came up the hill. We stayed put, and then she actually ascended this tree. So I just want you to know that I didn't want to start the car then and scare her or do anything, so I just stayed put. But normally we wouldn't drive up to a leopard this close in a tree because it might disturb her and send her down the tree. So always taking incredible care with what we do with the animal. But I just wanted to, you know, formally tell you why we're so close, and that's because she came to us and just laid in that tree there. She's definitely focused on something down there. Transfixed. So you can hear the voice of somebody else. We have another vehicle with us, and they're enjoying this beautiful sighting as well. Picture perfect. Incredible. There's something that sort of comes over you when you get this close to a leopard, and anyone that has been close to a leopard in the wild that's watching today will know that feeling, and hopefully you still get that feeling through Safari Live as well. But just to give you a bit more information, the sheer beauty of these cats is in our faces right now, so close and personal that, boy, did nature get this one right. Nature gets it all right, really. But this is definitely one of my favourite animals in the world. Brian, what I might do, mate, is we've got her face there. I'm just thinking about, folks, if I reversed up a little bit, we might get a bit more of a shot of where she is, but I'm trying to see the little guys. They're down the other side there. You think we should reposition?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, let's give it a try, folks. So, I'm just going to try that. Well, this is a great comment from Aaron in New Zealand, and before I start the car and reposition, Aaron, absolutely wonderful words from you. Aaron's saying that the first time he watched a documentary in his life, he watched David Attenborough speaking about nature, and he was absolutely in awe about the beauty of nature, and that stuck with him. So that's great to hear, Aaron. That's your love nature switch flicking moment there, and we've all got one, mate. So thank you so much for watching in New Zealand, which it's 20 past late o'clock in the morning for you, mate. So welcome aboard, mate. Great to have you with us. So you can see Karula's not fussed there really with us starting the vehicle. She's just put her head down. I'm just got to watch it. We've got some seriously spiky branches behind us, so I'm just manoeuvring past. Actually, I might just... Brian, can you get a shot of the cub there through over the other side? I'm not sure. It's just on that bank over there, mate. Is that all right? Oh, yeah. That's probably the best I'm going to get, folks, at the moment. That's little cubby there, and I don't know which one, but... then we've got Mum and one of her little cubs down there. So they have about 1 to 3 cubs in a litter, and not all of them survive because there's a high mortality rate, but she's such an incredible mother. She's done so well, and she's raised 2 of her cubs to this ripe 7-month age that they're at now, and they're looking beautiful, aren't they? Normally happens about every 2 years, 2-year intervals roughly. Sometimes it differs. You know, you can read many a book and many of the sort of fact sheets on all different animals, and there's always exceptions to the rule, and folks that know me will always know that I say that, because, you know, books say, oh, look, they're mostly active at dawn and dusk, and, you know, I've seen leopards hunting in Tanzania in the middle of the baking heat in the day. So, look, it just depends on different individuals and different locations, but generally speaking, every 2 years they'll have cubs. So there we have a beautiful, beautiful cat, and we're going to just sit with Karula for a bit because I can't really leave, and I hope that's all right with you. After I haven't seen her for 7 months, I'm more than happy just to sit here with this beautiful, beautiful cat and her cubs. But we're going to cross back to a very, very wonderful human being, Mr. James Hendry. We'll see you just now.
I'm embarrassed by that compliment, everybody, especially as the credit for the afternoon goes to her. But there is a floppy-eared bull elephant there. Can you see it? And that I didn't spot either. Fiam spotted that. So all I've done today is talk to you and explain what the masters of the wilderness have found. Now, I believe this is the same elephant that you saw earlier at the waterhole. Hayden said to me, there are a few bulls around here, and that's not surprising. It's dry. They'll be having nice things to drink at the waterhole there. It's one probably the last source of fresh water that there is out here, because it's pumped from that very same pump that I showed you very early on when I was still driving. Now that elephant's quite a distance from us. He's probably about 150 meters, I would say, which is about 500 feet. I'm pretty sure he's seen us because they've got pretty good eyesight. It's probably a bit like ours, maybe a slightly myopic human being, but he's not worried by us at all. As we're not hiding from him, we're not behaving like predators at all. We're behaving, well, I mean, he knows what we are. Now, it was exactly the same with those lions. Those lions saw us. We didn't go crouching then behind bushes. We didn't then try and go into the thickets after them. We behaved precisely as we should have, and so they didn't feel any threat. They lay down in the thickets there, and Herbert reckons that 2 of them stayed to watch us. One female moved the cubs away, and then 2 of them would have stayed to see what we were doing. And we didn't behave like predators, and so they left us alone. Same thing with this elephant now. Let's see where he goes. I think he's probably going to come out into the open. Let's move down here a little bit. I'm not even going to check the wind. I mean, I can feel it blowing from straight in front of us. I'm not even going to check it, though, because I'm 99% sure he's seen us. Yeah, we get quite a nice view of him here. There we go. It's a very good question, Rebecca. You're in Santa Barbara. You say, are there any female trackers, Shangaan trackers? I have known one in my life. Herbie, have you? One. Guiding now. Herbie's also known only one, and she's guiding now. Yeah, the elephant is now facing us. Yeah, he's coming out towards us. We're not too far from Fireside Chat, so if we have to move, we can. But I think he's actually going to that tree. And Rebecca, you're in Santa Barbara. We're just going to move a little bit around here while we answer your question. I mean, to be honest, South African society is still very patriarchal. It's very stratified into roles, especially in the rural areas. And so tracking is not seen as a woman's job at all. As I've said to you before, though, I think that women make better guides than men. Because if you've ever seen someone like Jamie Patterson guiding, there's no testosterone in what she does. So it's purely, you know, she's extremely brave, but there's no ego involved, which means that she's sensitive, but she's not scared. And that is a brilliant approach if you want to be in the bush. So I imagine there would be some wonderful female trackers, and I think that as time goes on and the sort of thing opens up to women, they will do it a lot more. But the original skills, remember, because of the stratified nature of society, come largely from the men, because they're the ones who look after the cattle when they're little boys. And that is when they learn the tricks of being in the bush and how to track. That's when it first begins. Nice question. Thank you, Rebecca. Isn't that lovely? A perfect way to end our little bushwalk. Been quite exciting, really. Okay. We're going to move off towards the Fireside Chat. Now, if you look over there, you might just be able to see a bit of light. And that's where we're going to meet you shortly. Hayden is still with Karula, so we're going to head back across to him now. And I will see you by the fireside.
Well, folks, I just repositioned, and she turned her head around and gave us this magnificent shot to finish our drive on today. And how beautiful is that? It doesn't come much more quintessentially African than that. Djuma, Sabi Sands, South Africa, you always deliver. And you deliver in such a way with your magnificent creatures that I think everyone watching this right now is probably going to have a very, very beautiful image in their mind to finish their day wherever you are in the world. I feel incredibly privileged to be sitting here with this cat, as Brian does, and every single leopard encounter and sighting you have, you never forget. But that is just magic. just taking a few images, folks, because she is just in such a great spot. So apologies about the noise. Just got a question from Dina. Excuse me, folks, again, my microphone, I'm so sorry about that. My microphone's just come off my cap, so apologies, just sticking that on there. Dina has just asked, is that Karula snoring? No, it's not, Dina. It might be just a bird that you heard in the background. There was a francolin vocalising before, and sometimes the sounds can they can sort of not fit the pictures, but yeah, no, she's not snoring, matey, at the moment. Ah, that's just beautiful, isn't it? So I'm just watching the time, folks, because I do have to get going in about 3 minutes, which is an incredibly difficult thing for me to do, I can tell you that. But we have to meet James at the fireside chat. So I think we've been very, very fortunate. She's going to turn around the other side by the looks of things anyway. Look at that. Have a look at that spot pattern. It's just, when you see a leopard lying like this, you do get that full representation of how beautiful their spots are when they're elevated like that, all the way down the inside of their legs, the darker spots, not the rosettes, and then the rosettes all over. Every individual's different. It is their fingerprint, and nature has got that in one. She can't get quite comfortable at the moment. So folks, I'm going to have to, whilst we've just got those beautiful pictures happening there, I'm going to just give you a little farewell from me for a minute whilst we drive up. We're going to have to leave Karula, sadly, because I could sit here with her until dark here. But we've got to go to the fireside chat, and that's also a great thing because we'll get to be able to have a bit of a chat about this. But she has got this kill here. There's a good chance she'll be here tomorrow. If hyena don't get this tonight, she may put it up a tree. We will find out. We know where she is, and we will come back here first thing in the morning to see if she's here. So, without further ado, I just put my earpiece back in so I can hear FC, Final Control. And I want to say thank you for being here. So we do need to move on. Goodbye, my dear friend. You have been absolutely amazing as usual. Cubbies, till another day. And how cool was that? You never know what's around the next corner. Ah. Yeah. It's good.
All is right in the world.
All is right in the world. I feel sensational is a word that probably I could use. I feel fantastic. I feel, when you have an encounter with nature like that, like we all just had, it just makes you feel brilliant. You know, it's just brilliant. There's a great environmental lawyer by the name of Gus Speth, I think his name is, yeah, Speth. And he wrote a quote once that I read, and it stuck with me for a very long time. And the quote was something along the lines of, he's been studying science for the last 30 years of his life, and, you know, he thought that, well, after that many years studying what he was studying and being at the top of his game, he thought that they knew how to tackle climate change and habitat loss and all those sorts of things. But he came to a realization in this quote, and I'm sort of paraphrasing, I'm not paraphrasing, I'm just sort of trying to put it together for you to give you the gist of what it was, because I can't remember it word for word. But it was basically along the lines that he realized suddenly, he had this eureka moment one day, that we need to actually, the problems in the world aren't necessarily just habitat loss and climate change and so on, but they're greed, cynicism and apathy. And he said, as a scientist, I can't fix that. He said we need a spiritual and cultural change in the world to love wildlife again, to love the environment, to love the habitat. So that's why I asked about that love nature switch, when it was flicked in you when you were a kid, or when you're an adult for that matter. And that really stuck with me, that little quote when I read it from Gus. A spiritual and cultural change. You know, when we're little kids, we just love, everything is amazing, and as we get older we get apathetic and we don't really care as much, or we haven't got time. But when you have a moment like that, which we all just did together as a team, oh my gosh, makes your heart sing. Makes your heart sing. South Africa, you're all right. You're all right. Okay, so whilst we go down Philemon's Dip here, who I haven't been down this little road, which I haven't been down, we're going to cross over to the one and only James Hendry, that has another very special creature. We'll see you now.
We just thought we'd give you one more view of this elephant, everybody. He's sitting there, you can see his bottom disappearing behind some bush. And what we'll do is just go up onto this termite mound over here and see if we can't get a last look just before we go to the fireside chat. Hayden's got quite a long way to drive, so we're just going to have a look quickly before he gets here. Wind is good for us, still coming out of the north at the moment. And sometimes of an evening we come and sit on this termite mound and have sundowners, which of course is an excellent thing to do. I can't see him anymore, William. Wind is still good, so we won't be worried about it. We wouldn't be doing this if we weren't right next to the fireside there when there was light and vehicles. It's a little bit dark for this. There he comes now. He's got quite nice tusks there. Now he's still a long way away from us, everybody. He's a good 150 meters, 500 feet or so. But you can see how easily they disappear, especially at this time of the night. Isn't that nice? And I wish you could hear some of the stuff here. Unbelievable sounds of the evening, a sort of late winter evening, blowing wind, a couple of those rain locusts or crested locusts going in the background. Bit of smoke in the air, some wood smoke from home, dust, wind, and of course the taste of victory on our tongues after Herbert found us those wonderful lions today. Okay, we'll go back to the fireside now. We'll see you there this time, I promise.
How was that? What a fantastic afternoon it's been, hey? Isn't this just brilliant? I'm so chuffed. I'm really excited to be back, and the little kid inside me is jumping up and down, as I said earlier in the afternoon, having this opportunity and this honour to come back and do a week. And in Fireside Chat we'll explain a little bit more about the school's programs over the next few days that I've come back to especially do. But wow, what an afternoon. Karula and elephant and So I've got a question from Rob in New Jersey. Welcome aboard, Rob, and thanks for joining us, and great to have you. A good question. How many countries have I worked and travelled in? Well, I haven't necessarily worked in all of them. I suppose I've travelled through some on holidays and things like that, but I'm up to an embarrassing 51 at the moment, I think. And I wouldn't have been able to have that opportunity if it wasn't for Nat Geo. Most of those I have done with National Geographic, and I've been incredibly privileged. Here's this little stinky zookeeper from the suburbs of Sydney sitting in this vehicle here in this great land, South Africa, this amazing country that I'm driving around in this wonderful vehicle with wonderful people looking at the things I love. How'd that happen? I'll tell you that story another time, but for me, I'm really privileged, mate, to be able to travel like I have. But I've also got a beautiful wife and son now, so I have a tendency to not try and travel as much. So I'm slowing down a little bit, mate. Getting a bit grey. Got a question from Dilly in Wisconsin. Hi Dilly, welcome aboard to you. Great to have you with us. I've done a little bit of work up in Wisconsin myself with some black bear. What was it? It was black bear monitoring with radio collars and telemetry. So a great part of the world you're in. Have I ever met Bindi Irwin? No, I haven't. Dilly, and I know she is doing great work with kids, but I haven't had the opportunity to meet her. But you never know what could happen in the future there. But thank you very much for watching and being with us today. Just having a last little scratch around here to see if there's anything out around here on my way to meet James at the Fireside Chat. Okay, we're going to just head over there now. I can smell elephant. I definitely can smell elephant. Can I go through there? Can I go through there? I have to go around here. I do apologise. I've taken a little wrong route, but I'm going to get to James as quickly as I can. I can smell elephant. I can't see them. Ah, there we go. That must be the one that James, just over there, the one that James just had with him. He's just behind that bush. I could smell him, but I couldn't see him, but there he is. It might be our boy that was down at our water point with us. I'm just going to make a bit of a beeline now to meet James. What a great afternoon. And great to have you on board, and all you new Safarians that have joined us today. We hope booked you. We hope you've joined the SafariLIVE family, because it is a big family. Wonderful people, from the people that created this right from the beginning, Graham and Emily Wallington and Peter Bratt and those team, to all the people behind the scenes as well. This incredible team in Final Control, Bex today, Kirsty, Jerry, Connor, and everyone else, VM, just everyone. And there's a big team behind this that makes it work. We just get to drive around in the vehicles. Okay, so we're going to cross over to James, and I'll be right there in a minute. See you now.